Kitcats can read. Hey guys, it's Katie. Welcome to another video. Today I'm bringing you guys my March wrap up. So March was a bit of a mixed bag. I did do some really good reading at some points. There were other points where I didn't do as much reading, but all in all I managed to knock some physical books off of my TBR. I managed to reread some books and listen to some audiobooks. So let's see what I read. The first book that I completed in the month of March was Clockwork Princess by Cassandra Clare. This is the final book that is in the Infernal Devices trilogy. I was really scared to read this because I was told that it's going to be very emotional, and because it's an end of a trilogy it is gonna like choke me up, and you know, it's the final of it and I wasn't ready for it, and I was gonna read it last year and I never did. I always get scared to read the last book in series and trilogies because I don't want it to end, but now I'm just like, you know what, I need to finish it. I need to know what's going to happen and I need to experience all the feels, and boy was this book full of those feels. Like, my goodness, I absolutely love the characters that are in this trilogy so much. Like Jem, there's Will, and oh my goodness, just so much happened in this book. So much action happened in this book as well. I couldn't believe that when one thing was happening, something else was happening, and every single emotion that I had was drained into this book as well. It was so good. What a roller coaster. I ended up spoiling myself on something because underneath this jacket there is a timeline, and I could see who got with who had kids and that sort of stuff up to where we are kind of now in the Mortal Instruments series. And I'm a bit like, damn. So I kind of spoiled myself on like what happened, but the ending of this book is so sweet. It's just, I don't know, it's got the perfect ending, like literally just the perfect ending to this trilogy, and it will make you cry, it will make you happy. But this trilogy is brilliant. It's actually kind of like steampunk because of these automatons in the Shadowhunter world, based in the past, with shapeshifters. Magnus Bane is in this book as well. He's in literally like all the other series. I love the Shadowhunter books so much. There are some people that are like, seriously, she's writing another one in the Shadowhunter world. To me, I'm like, don't stop writing books in the Shadowhunter world. I love them so much. I love Cassandra Clare's writing style. It's just, it flows so well. It's a big book, but I can just read through it so quickly and get so absorbed into the world, into the characters, and oh man, just it's so good. I cannot wait to continue on with this. So of course I gave this book 5 out of 5 Kit Kats. Probably going to be a potential book of my favourites for this year. Let's be honest, it is. Then I read this bind up of Cardcaptor Sakura, which is the first bind up. The other, I think there's like possibly 4, I'm not entirely sure, but I know that I have seen a 2, 3 and a 4. They are really hard to get hold of. They are really expensive. People are literally charging for them for like £100 on eBay and stuff. They're really hard to get hold of. I don't know, but I do want to collect them all. I do want to get hold of them all. So if there's a chance that I could get the second bind up at some point, even if I pay £40 for it, I will, because I absolutely loved this bind up so much. So this is the first bind up, and I believe it contains like the first 3 manga novels that are in Cardcaptor Sakura. Is one of my favourite ever animes, mangas. I love it so much. I used to watch the anime. It's one of the ones that I've completed. I love and adore it. I could read this over and over again. It's brilliant. This is the story that is about Sakura. She's literally like 10 years old, and one day this book is opened and out comes a little spirit that's in like the shape of a small little lion bear thing, and then the cards are released, so she has to go and collect all of the cards. The cards are like creatures, like for example you'll have Windy, who is like this wind fairy thing that creates wind. that causes havoc. So some are sort of like good cards, some are bad cards, and so her job is a card captor, so she has to collect the cards of the Clow, and by the end of it she pretty much has to try and become the master of the Clow. So it's really fun. You get to see like her sort of think of how she's going to collect the cards. Like you can use another card in order to collect another card, so like it's really interesting. And of course there are going to be other rivals along the way that she could meet who might also want to be the master of the Clow. So it's brilliant. I love it so much, and yeah, it's brilliant. Just the artwork in it, and occasionally there's a really nice colour picture like this. It's so worth it. It's funny, and it's just I really absolutely just loved this bind up so much. And of course I gave this 5 out of 5 Kit Kats, and this also a top contender for favourite of the year. Then I had a reread of a graphic novel series. When I first read them, I wasn't really getting into them. A few years later, started rereading them. Here I am now, absolutely loving them. So the one that I reread this time was Saga volume number 3. When I was sorting out my book shed, I was putting up books I really wanted to read soon or reread, and this I was like, you know what, I really want to reread this. It's a really short read. It doesn't take long to read, and it's colourful and it's beautiful. And yeah, so this is a very strange graphic novel series that it is adult. There is sex, there's drugs, there's blood, there's gore, there's random aliens just doing whatever, aliens with like TV heads. I know, it's crazy, like literally crazy. The characters are characters you would never ever think of that would imagine. It's one crazy fucked up sci-fi story, but basically you literally have 2 alien life-like people from 2 different planets. They've got together, they've had a baby, and the baby is the protagonist of the story. They tell the story of like how they met, how it all happened, and how they were like on the run because it's like forbidden, like they're not allowed to have a kid together, so they're all on the run. So it's really interesting. It's random, but at the same time it's pretty damn good, and I really enjoyed rereading this again, and I look forward to continuing on with the next volume, which I haven't actually read. So the first 3 volumes I read before, but volume number 4 will be the first time reading, so I'm looking forward to continuing on with this graphic novel series. And I'm getting so much more into like comics, graphic novels, mangas again, that I'll probably eventually start getting some more again. But yeah, my goodness, I absolutely really enjoyed rereading this again, and of course I had to give it a 5 out of 5 Kit Kats this time around. Next of all, in March I reread a physical book. I watched the movie again. I've seen it quite a few times now. It's on Netflix. The movie is very different to the book, so like keep your mind on that. So this is my first time rereading this book, and this is The Duff by Cody Kaplinger. So I read this a few years ago, rereading it again a few years later. I still absolutely love this book so much, and like I say, both the movie and the TV show are very different. The characters are kind of there. There are some characters that are in this that aren't in the movie, and there's some in the movie that aren't in this. So just take it as it is, that it is a TV adaptation, like movie of a book. Like it's not to the exact point of the book, but it's got its own twist on it, which is good sometimes if they pull it off really well. But yeah, the basic premise of the story is in the movie, so that's like the main thing. So basically we have Bianca, who is told one day by like the most popular guy in school, Wesley, that she is called a Duff, which means designated ugly fat friend, and pretty much means that you got your best friends who are the popular good looking ones that everybody wants to date. You're that friend that makes them look good because you're not popular, beautiful or anything. So then she got really upset, and so she asks Wesley how can she not be this Duff. So in the book it's very different. That's the movie premise really. And so Wesley helps her in the movie to like become not a Duff. How to dress, how to like look, how to act, that sort of thing. Now in the book we pretty much have an issue that's going on with Bianca's parents. They are arguing and everything, so Bianca needs a distraction, and her distraction is Wesley. So she literally will go to Wesley to sleep with him, be with him, cuddle with him, whatever. Like her way of escaping from the world of parental arguments, or you know, exes coming back out of nowhere, that sort of stuff. She literally goes to Wesley for all of that. Like it's her way of dealing with not dealing with what is happening in reality. So it is emotional, and like I say, this is like one of the first YA books where I was like, oh my goodness, there's a lot of sex in this YA book. But yeah, the literary just, oh man, just, it is really nice to see the blossom friendship of these two people as well. And also when Bianca does face reality at times, you know, it is really emotional. But yeah, really enjoy rereading this book. Like I say, I love the movie, I love the book. They're both different in each way, but yeah, this was quite enjoyable to read it all over again, because it's been a few years and I couldn't remember like exact things until I was reading them, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember it now. It's always nice when you haven't read something in a few years and you read it again and then you're like, oh yeah. And it's always interesting to see if you're still going to love a book as well a few years later down the line, from being a teenager to an adult sort of thing. So yeah, loved it. I gave it 5 out of 5 Kit Kats. Then I listened to a Jacqueline Wilson book called Mark Spark in the Dark. I'll place the picture over here. I got the audiobook of this from my library. I was going to get the book of it, but then I was like, you know what, I know it's such a short book and my library had the audiobook. I just want to like read Jacqueline Wilson's like earliest novels as much as I can remember. So there's like Mark Spark in the Dark, Jimmy Jelly and Video Rose. So Mark Spark in the Dark was the first one I listened to. The narrator was absolutely brilliant. She's so hilarious. She really told the story, so I totally recommend to listen to the audiobook. But this is literally about Mark Spark. It is like a children's book of a kid called Mark who is absolutely terrified of the dark, and he literally has to face his fears in this book of when darkness actually happens. And like, it's about him realizing that it isn't actually as bad as it is, but it is really funny, hilarious. I actually really enjoyed listening to this and the story in general. I like the message that comes across, and yeah, it was really enjoyable. So yeah, I gave this one 4 out of 5 Kit Kats. And I listened to Jimmy Jelly by Jacqueline Wilson as well. I'll place a picture over here. This again was another audiobook that I got from my library. This is a children's book, and it is literally about this little girl, and she is absolutely obsessed with this TV personality that when she meets him in person, she is like, well, this isn't the person that I see on the TV. So it's kind of like, gives across a message of like, people that you see on the TV or online or whatever might not be the people that you will see them in person, because obviously they're putting on like somebody or a character that isn't really themselves. So I really like that message that came across. It's a really short book again as well, but yeah, you know, I quite enjoyed it, and I gave it 3 out of 5 Kit Kats. The final book that I read in the month of March, I literally finished on the last day of March, and that is Fledgling by Natasha Brown. I was reading this book for ages, literally from the second week of March, and I finished it on the final day of the month. And oh my goodness, like, when I was first reading it, I was like, I'm really not enjoying this book whatsoever, because there's just so many elements of this book that are just like really, did that happen? Like, I don't know, just a lot of like eye rolling and cliche things, and stuff that they say, stuff that they do. Sometimes it's a bit like, oh my god, like what? So like, this is one of those books where I feel like it would be good for someone that is on the younger end of a teen, so you know, like 13 or maybe even like 12 sort of thing. Like my 12-11-year-old self would probably really enjoy this book when I'm very young and naive, and I would not, you know, see things the way they are now that I've experienced life a bit like later on sort of thing. Like, you know, you experience every lovely fun thing that comes with relationships, like you know, being later on in life. But whereas back then it's all new to you and you're like, oh my god, this is the best thing ever, it's insta love, it's awesome. So yeah, this is basically about this girl, and she has a heart condition, and so she struggles to breathe and everything, and her heart is just pretty much weak. She is like told that she will have to have like open heart surgery and stuff. So she ends up like moving to a new place, and she starts at this new school. She sees this mysterious guy who's like broody, you know, that sort of typical character. And then they start talking, hanging out, and then eventually a romance blossoms, and he is who he's not to be. She's keeping the secret of the heart thing from her, and yeah, that's all I'm really going to say on it without spoiling. But you know what, there were some parts, I want to say probably around the halfway mark, where I was like, you know what, it's not too bad. There were so many like bits where I was just like, you know what, this isn't as bad as what it could be. So you know, it's not too bad. So I say it does need a bit of development. I don't know if the other books have developed a bit better. I don't really know. Some people really enjoy this book. Some people have said like, oh my goodness, this book was really good. So I think it just has to adapt to your taste as well. Like if you're really sort of into that sort of stuff, like insta love and cheesy stuff, and you know, changing somebody and that sort of stuff, like really sort of like cheesy, eye-rolly sort of stuff, then you probably would really enjoy it. But I'm reading it and I'm like, really? Like really? So yeah, but it was an okay book. Like it wasn't a bad book, and when I was thinking about it I was like, okay, the characters weren't so bad, the plot, you know, could have been better, but the plot wasn't like terrible. So yeah, just it is what it is. But I still quite enjoyed it, and I ended up giving that 3 out of 5 Kitty Cats. Those were the books that I read in the month of March. So my March reading wasn't terrible. Like I say, I got some books off of my TBR, got some rereads off of my TBR. I did still read. Obviously I could have done better, but you know, considering the circumstances of dealing with the aftermath of COVID, with long COVID, unfortunately, it did impact a lot of my reading time. When I couldn't read, I tried to listen to audiobooks and stuff like that. So, you know, there were days where I really didn't want to do anything, I didn't want to read and whatever, so it definitely did impact my reading. And it wasn't until like the last couple of days of March where I really was wanting to read. So let's see if April's going to be better. I've already got a massive TBR for April anyway, so we will see. But luckily, as I'm filming now on the 2nd day of April, I'm feeling like, you know what, April could be a good month because I've got the reading bug. I'm enjoying what I'm reading. You know, the weather's beautiful. I'm feeling really good about myself, about things coming up. So hopefully I'm definitely into doing some reading pretty soon. If you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and comment down below. Let me know how you guys did in the month of March with your reading. If you've done a video, link it down below and I can check it out. I love watching people's wrap-ups and TBR videos. And if you've done TBR, also link that down below as well. Or, you know, if you don't do booktube or whatever, you can literally just type down below what you're going to be reading and what you managed to read, how many books, that sort of stuff. Let's just start a conversation. I love chatting to you guys in the comments so much. And thank you so much for watching my video. As always, all of my social media links are in the description below if you'd like to follow me elsewhere and you're not doing so already. I've got Twitter, Instagram, Goodreads on there, and I've also got my gaming channel details down below if you're into video games. I've got a Twitch, a YouTube for my gaming, as well as an actual Twitter set to my gaming channel. At the moment I'm playing Ratchet and Clank, so if you guys like that game or like wanna watch a sort of like adventure series game, I've got a few videos on there for you to watch. But other than that, that's it from me, guys. Keep smiling, keep reading, be happy, and most importantly, please stay safe. My name is Katie and I'll see all of you wonderful awesome people in my next video. Bye.